Good evening, everyone. We'd like to call this meeting to order. Phil, where are you back there? Phil, would you like to lead us in the flag salute, please? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ayala.
Here.
Councilmember Rhodes.
Here.
Councilmember Litzter.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Judge.
Here.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Here. Do we have any items for agenda review?
We do. There is a supplemental item on consent item 6.
Thank you.
I move that all resolutions and ordinances presented tonight be read in title only and all further reading be waived.
Second.
Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Nothing to report out from closed session.
Thank you. If any member of the City Council may have a conflict of interest or any reason why that member must abstain from consideration of any matter on the agenda, he or she should so declare at this time. Seeing none, we can move on.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, the first item on the agenda is item 1D1, presentation of a proclamation declaring April 22, 2025 as Earth Day. And Public Works Director Ron Fuchiwaki is here to present this item. And accepting the proclamation is Deputy Public Works Director, Environmental Compliance, Wanda Moyer.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and council members. It's a pleasure that so many people came out to celebrate Earth Day today. So, if Wanda could come down. Wanda? As Lucy said, Wanda is our Deputy Public Works Director for Environmental Compliance, and she's going to come down and join the mayor to accept the proclamation. The first Earth Day was observed on April 22nd, 1970, and led to the creation of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in December 1970. Their mission is to protect human health and the environment and ensure clean air, land, and water. To celebrate Earth Day, we are pleased to announce that the city is partnering with Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District in celebrating Earth Day on Friday, April 25th at Sequoia Park. And on Saturday, April 26th, the city is partnering with the Simi Valley Unified School District at Monte Vista School Earth Day event. During these events, staff engages with kids in fun activities to educate them on protection of our planet and its precious natural resources. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the joint efforts of the city, park district, and school district to educate our community about the environmental sustainability. It is my pleasure to join the City Council and proclaim April 22nd, 2025 as Earth Day in the city of Simi Valley to encourage all residents and businesses to support and participate in Earth Day activities in recognition of our commitment to our local and global environment.
Thank you, Mr. Fukuwaki. Thank you for recognizing Earth Day for the city, and thank you everyone for being here for this Earth Day. I like that. That was a good line. Wanda, thank you for being here to accept this. And I appreciate everybody that does their part to keep our city clean and to keep our water clean and everything else. Sorry, I don't know what to say about Earth Day other than that. Sorry. Okay, thank you. It's a great event, and I like to be involved in it. We used to do an Arbor Day, which kind of went into the Earth Day, and it's a good thing to get the kids involved, get them starting out early. So thank you, everyone, for all you do in the city, and thank you, Wanda. You want to say a few words?
I just wanted to say there's lots of folks who are always interested in protecting our environment, and then when they find out that we spend a lot of our time preparing reports, it's not quite as exciting. But I can tell you that interacting with families and kids truly does bring us joy, and we're looking forward to this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all you do.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 1D2, presentation of a proclamation commemorating May 1, 2025 as a Day of Prayer. And Senior Management Analyst Heidi DiNardo is here to present this item. And accepting the proclamation is Pastor Brian Fox of New Heart Church.
Wonderful. Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. This evening, I have the honor of presenting the history surrounding the National Day of Prayer. And I would like to invite Pastor Brian Fox, look at him go, from New Heart Church to accept. Thank you, Mr. Fox. The National Day of Prayer was established in 1952 by a joint resolution of Congress and signed into law by President Harry S. Truman. It was later amended in 1988 by President Ronald Reagan to be observed annually on the first Thursday of May. The National Day of Prayer is a day set aside for people of all faiths to pray for the nation and its leaders. While it's not a public holiday, it's recognized across the country with events in churches, government buildings, public spaces, and even online. This year, we also pause to honor the memory of Pope Francis, who passed away early this morning. Pope Francis was a guiding light of humility, compassion, and acceptance, consistently reminding us to love without judgment and to meet others with open hearts. His legacy calls us to embrace one another in unity, regardless of our differences, and to seek peace through understanding and grace. In Simi Valley, this day holds special meaning as members of the faith community come together to pray for our city leaders, school board members, local businesses, schools, and the spiritual well-being of all who call this community home. It is a time to encourage unity among churches and faith-based organizations as they continue to be a vital resource for the city. Now, therefore, the City of Simi Valley proclaims May 1st, 2025 as the Day of Prayer, an opportunity for all residents to offer thanks, reflect, and come together in a spirit of community, hope, and shared purpose. Presented this 21st day of April, 2025.
Thank you. We have such a wonderful faith-based community here in Simi Valley, and they do so much more than people even realize, together and individually. And this Day of Prayer is wonderful. I've been to a couple of the events, and it's just, you leave feeling really good, and you meet some very nice people and like-minded people, and everyone is there for the good of our community. So I really appreciate you being here to accept this on behalf of our Day of Prayer. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Well, yeah, give me a microphone, no. But on behalf of all the various churches of our city, we just want to thank the City Council for making this Day of Prayer a thing, and just want all of the council members, all of our citizens to know that we have a great faith community that's praying for and really wanting to serve our community. Our National Day of Prayer event, again, will be on May 1st at noon out here in the council, or out in the square. And then at Antioch Church at 7 p.m., there's many churches that are gathering together to pray for our city, for our state, for our nation, and for the citizens of our city. So we're just so grateful for this privilege of getting to set aside a day of prayer. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 1D3, presentation of certificates of completion to the spring CERT graduating class. And Emergency Services Coordinator Shannon Johnson is here to present this item.
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of the City Council, good evening. Tonight, we are recognizing 22 graduates of the Spring 2025 Community Emergency Response Team Training Class, otherwise known as CERT. This year marks the 31st year the city has offered CERT training. This training is free to the community thanks to our ongoing partnership with the Ventura County Fire Department. With the addition of tonight's graduates, over 1,600 Simi Valley residents and employees have completed this hands-on 24-hour disaster response training course, which includes a final disaster simulation exercise. A special thank you to the dedicated individuals who made this training possible: Fire Engineer Richard Ellison, who led the weekly trainings; Disaster Service Worker Volunteer Technical Reserve Bob Moss, who assisted with the weekly trainings; and CERT Program Director Steve Lazenby, who coordinated the final drill. We would also like to thank the city's disaster service worker volunteers for supporting the CERT training. The volunteers are with us tonight, and they include Phil Ankrum, Ed Baker, Itzel Franco, David Fisher, Kirk Heineman, Melissa Heineman, Ray Perkins, and Brooke Zalo. We thank each of you for your time, service, and dedication. Over the course of 6 weeks, the graduates received training in key emergency response skills, including disaster preparedness, disaster medical operations, search and rescue, fire suppression, team management, small group leadership, terrorism awareness, and disaster psychology. We thank all of tonight's graduates for their dedication to the program and congratulate them on their graduation. We ask them to become champions for CERT and encourage their neighbors to take CERT training for when disaster strikes. The more prepared we are, the better our community will respond. The next CERT class will be offered in fall. For more details, visit the emergency services page on the city's website at semivalley.org/emergency services. At this time, we invite the graduates to come forward as their names are called to receive their certificates. Tristan Humes, Cara Jones, September Jones Pasco, Eshme Landman, Yuri Ledden, David Mullen, Michael Nepal, Kate O'Brien, Archana Rajek, Naresh Rajek, Michael Shaw, David Vasquez, and Carol Witt. Congratulations. Could all of the CERT graduates please come to the front for a photo?
CERT is an awesome thing. I'm actually a CERT graduate, and I still have all my stuff ready to go in case of an earthquake. Come on up so we can take a picture. So I really encourage everybody to do it if you have not already done it. You learn a lot, and you make new friends, right? And you get to come up here and get a certificate and shake the chief's hand. So it's a good thing.
Well, and while you're squishing, I'm just going to recognize that we have Kate O'Brien in the midst of that. Here she was on the Parks, Susanna Parks board for over 20 years. She retires. What does she do? She takes the CERT class. So I'm just saying no one is allowed to retire. You just need to get better and better.
Thank you all for taking this class. We appreciate you.
I'm going again.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 1D4, presentation of a proclamation declaring the month of April 2025 as Earthquake Preparedness Month, and Emergency Services Coordinator Shannon Johnson is also presenting this item, and accepting the proclamation are the disaster service worker and volunteers.
Good evening once again, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. As we move through April, our attention shifts to earthquake preparedness, a crucial aspect of safety in earthquake-prone regions. Let me start again. Good evening again, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. As we move through April, our attention shifts to earthquake preparedness, a crucial aspect of safety in earthquake-prone regions such as California. In recognition of Earthquake Preparedness Month, the City of Simi Valley, through the 2025 Earthquake Preparedness Month proclamation, encourages residents to leverage technology for timely alerts and refresh emergency plans to keep themselves and their families safe during an earthquake or other emergency. We invite you to take action and get prepared before shaking begins by taking the following steps. Download the MyShake app to have earthquake information at your fingertips. Register for VC Alert to receive time-sensitive emergency notifications by text, phone, or email. And sign up for our next Community Emergency Response Team CERT training to learn basic disaster response skills. Each of these actions contributes to the preparedness and resiliency of our communities. Thank you.
It was perfect timing to do this along with the CERT graduation, correct? I mean, you couldn't have asked for more. And especially sign up for those alerts. Mine went off in the last earthquake a couple weeks ago. It went off and went boom, and then the earthquake hit. So it really is advantageous to have that. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, I'll just encourage everyone to invite their family, friends to take the CERT class in the fall.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, we're all good. Thank you very much. Oh, pictures. She likes the background up there.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 2, public statements on appointments, special presentations, and informational reports. Madam Mayor, we have no speakers for this item this evening. Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 3A1, selection of 2 City Council members to conduct Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center Foundation Board interviews. And Assistant Community Services Manager Sandy McGee is here to present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. The Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides endowment and annual financial support for the Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center. The foundation board is comprised up to 21 voting members, including 7 City Council appointed public members. Currently, 3 City Council appointed vacancies exist, with terms beginning on July 1st, 2025, with 1 term concluding on June 30th, 2026, and 2 terms concluding on June 30th, 2028. The city initiated a recruitment that concluded on March 28th, 2025. A total of 6 applications were received, and staff estimates that approximately 1.5 hours will be needed to conduct the interviews. Staff is recommending that the City Council select 2 City Council members to interview and nominate 3 applicants to fill the vacancies on the foundation board. Mayor Fred Thomas and Councilmember Rocky Rhodes served on the nominating committee for the foundation board in May of 2024. This concludes the report, and staff is available to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak? Would anyone like to volunteer to do the interviews?
I'm staring at Councilwoman Litster.
I have been told I speak too much, so I'm trying to be quiet. I just want you to know but you know that I'm always willing to serve. But and the reality is that they need 2. Rocky, if you would like to do this with me, this would be fabulous. Are you volunteering?
I'd be happy to do it again. I did just do it last time, the last round.
And I guess the only reason I immediately jump in is I know that the 2 of us are doing interviews this week for transit, ADA.
Yep,
So,
ADA.
ADA compliance. That's the only reason I didn't immediately jump in, because we did, but all was willing.
All right. Hearing no others? Sure. Good.
May I have a motion?
I'll move to select Councilmember Lister and Rhodes to interview applicants and nominate 3 prospective Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center Foundation board members for terms beginning July 1st, 2025, with 1 term ending on June 30th, 2026, and 2 terms ending on June 30th, 2028.
Thank you. Second?
And I will say that Councilmember Rhodes and I do both sit on the Cultural Arts Commission for those in attendance, and we very much are appreciative of what the foundation does, and so I know that we would love to be part of that selection process.
Thank you. Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 3B1. Presentation by Eric Sternad, Executive Director, Interfaith Children and Family Services, for an update on the programs and activities being provided to the cities in Ventura County.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and council and staff. Really appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and talk with you today and update you on the 211 information referral system in our county. And in addition to Earth Day, I'm really pleased that everyone came out to hear this presentation on 211. Because this is your service. 211 is a free 3-digit number that anyone can call day or night to reach any kind of health and human services in our amazing county. We connect members to over 2,000 health and human service resources, which we curate on a regular basis to make sure that they're all accurate and we know exactly how to direct members of the public to them. Last year, about 58,000 unique Ventura County residents reached out to 211 looking for help via call or text. And then our website had over 100,000 searches for folks just searching themselves for resources that they were looking for to help them and their families out. We're excited this year to celebrate our 20th anniversary. You may not know, but 211 Ventura was the first 211 up and running in California in 2005. And it's been my privilege to be at Interface and as a CME resident for 18 years since 2007. It's been really fun to see the service grow and really develop from where it started way back then. Just for some context, these are the different program departments at Interface, and this really makes us a unique 211 provider, really in the state and in some ways across the nation, because Interface is providing a lot of the direct services that folks are calling in for. And so we have a good sense about what this means when someone may be calling with a domestic violence concern or a concern for a teenager or things like that. So it really helps to do the cross-training and enables our call staff to really be quite sensitive and knowledgeable about the issues that folks are calling us for. So when we think about the types of calls, this is kind of a nice visual. You'll see this on the website as well. It's an easy way for folks to go on, click, and explore the kinds of services and supports that are available in the community. So as you can see, it's a wide range of areas that the public can search for. And by design, we are constantly looking for all of the latest resources, any changes that happen. So imagine flashback to the beginning of COVID, when everything shut down. We had to go through every single one of those 2,000 resources, call all the agencies, find out, are you still operating? Are they the same hours? Can people get virtual services? So this is why it's so important to have a resource team that is able to change those resources into the database at really a moment's notice. And we're doing that constantly because, of course, we want that all to be right. When we think about disasters, we're thinking about earthquake preparedness. We think about disasters, 211 is very much on the trigger to be able to respond to disasters that happen. Mountain fire was, of course, the most recent example. And so we've been part of a wide group of agencies serving those mountain fire victims. There were about 380 or so households that lost their homes. And so the trickle-down effects for them will last for years. And Interface and our other disaster response partners are going to be there for the long haul with them, helping them with housing, with kids going through different mental health challenges because of the disruptions that their families have experienced. So our 211 team is a big team, way bigger than our county would really need. But we have, Interface has contracts with 35 California counties. We answer 211 for about a third of the entire state. And so what that means is that if there's a disaster here locally, we can deploy all of those resources for our own need. That's the arrangement we have with all of our county partners. So it's quite a resource that we have for our community. So there are 3 simple ways to connect with 211. You can dial the 3-digit number. You can text us at 898-211. Just text your zip code. And if anybody in the audience wants to try it out, go ahead and just text your zip code to 898-211. You'll get a little message asking, what are you looking for? And then we can easily start that kind of a dialogue via text with anybody who's looking for support. Or visit us at 211ventura.org. We do have an interactive data display on 211ventura.org. Just look for the report section, and this is a way for anyone to go in and toggle some different factors. You can compare CME to other cities. You could look at, well, what are just the questions coming in around housing? What about rental assistance? Things like that. So you can kind of drill down. It's really a great resource for policymakers, especially when you may be looking at a question about, well, there's some new resources we can bring to the community. Where's the need in my city? And that's a great place where you can go to look at that and look at CME-specific data. So when we look at of those 58,000 contacts that came in, just drilling down to the calls specifically, 2,100 calls came in from Simi Valley residents in 2024. Most information referral, so just looking for services, not sure what's available in the community, but you can see 600 from Simi called 211 for the very first time. So these are families that are in trouble in some way or another. They're looking for support and reaching out to 211 for information. So families with kids under 5, pregnant callers, those who are at risk of homelessness or currently homeless, 223. So it gives you a little bit of a snapshot of some of the folks that were struggling in 2024 in our own city looking for support. Definitely going back about 10 years where we have really clear and reliable data. Housing is always the #1 reason why people are calling 211. We know that housing is a challenge in our community, as in many California communities, and that's borne out in the numbers. Here's another view of the data from CME callers and those who are texting us. Again, you can see housing far and away the largest reason why people are reaching out for support. Income support assistance programs, transportation, individual family, community support, food, meals, etc. You'll see that mental health has dropped down towards the bottom. This is somewhat unusual. We usually would see mental health and substance abuse requests much higher in the list. So I think some of this may just be reflective of the impacts of inflation on household budgets and the need that folks have for getting some help with income, etc. The next slide is interesting in the sense that it shows us a way to be able to compare Simi Valley compared to the other cities. So you'll see the total population up at the top of each of the bubbles here, and then you'll see where those top 3 needs are. So you can see housing is top in every city here, but then you can see it starts to shift around a little bit in terms of the needs that are being presented. And at the bottom, you'll see total calls. So we have 125,000 population. Look down the bottom middle at Thousand Oaks, 126,000, the closest proxy to our size, but their calls are considerably less, 1,600 versus 2,000. So just another way to look at how we compare to our sister cities in our county. And then there's some specialized programs that we have in 211. So we are, there we go. So we have a tobacco use cessation project that we do that's funded by the state. And in fact, 211 has as good or better outcomes in helping people get off of tobacco products than healthcare itself. So we're really proud of that. That's and we're working with sort of a harder population to reach. The public safety power shutoff, heavily used this year, again, because of so many public safety power shutoffs. So there we are working mostly with families that have medical equipment that requires powered devices, or think about an elderly resident with a chairlift up to the bedroom. What happens if the power goes out and they're stuck upstairs where there isn't the kitchen, et cetera, right? So these are the kinds of things that can be really problematic when the power needs to go out for safety reasons. And so Interface actually spearheaded a contract with both SCE and PG&E up north for contracts that are now in their third and fourth year, where we're providing support to residents during those de-energizations. Ventura versus Hate is part of a hate crime reporting project that we do with 211s across the state. So if anyone believes that they've been a victim of a hate crime, they can call into 211. We'll help them with resources, support, understanding what kinds of legal remedies there may be, how to report a crime, things like that. So again, that's a great service for the community. And last but not least, 211 Ride. So we're part of a Southern California group of 211s that participate in a ride sharing and ride kind of acquisition program. If my car breaks down, I'm not used to using the bus. I don't know how to get to work in the morning. You can literally call 211. We can say, okay, what's your destination? And we can help you with that trip planning so you can keep your job and do what you need to do until your car gets fixed, kind of thing. So that's a great service. About a third of all of the 211 callers do not have transportation to get to the resources that we're sending them to. So think about that just from a efficiency tax efficiency perspective. We as taxpayers are paying for all of these social service resources, but if people can't get to them, well, then we're really kind of setting up a service and not really using it efficiently. So this 211 Ride program is really a pretty critical offering. So that's the data I have for you. Here's contact information for us. Again, the 3 ways to contact 211. So anybody in the audience, please help us to get the word out and let your neighbors know how to reach out for any kind of health and human services that they might need in the community. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? I do want to commend you on, I think we asked you last time, if somebody's looking for services in another county,
Yeah.
we can call you and you
Absolutely.
can supply information in another county.
Yeah,
That
that's
was very
right.
helpful.
So the cell phone towers will direct your call to the local 211. So if you're looking for one in another area, online they have 800 numbers published, or we can help you find that. We work with our other 211s around the state and around the country all the time, especially on disaster support and kind of best practices and things like that.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had one question on your homeless call statistic, which was, I think, 200 and some change.
Yeah.
I'm assuming those were not all unique callers. That doesn't jive with our current point-in-time count number, which is considerably lower than that.
Right.
And if it is unique callers, I'd love to get to the bottom of that disconnect and see.
Yeah, I think you're probably right that those aren't unique callers. Those would be folks who are calling in, during a period of homelessness, right? Having said that, the point in time count is an approximation, right? So I think it's also interesting to look at maybe different data sets to be able to kind of get a sense of what those true numbers are. But yeah.
I think I take away something different from your presentation each time, and this one was data mining. Right? This was another data set there to look at.
Yeah, that's right.
And take advantage of that.
Yeah, and that online, it's a Power BI report, so it's updated frequently, and it is a really good way to data mine, because a call about being homeless, it can be many different types of calls, right? And so you're looking for temporary shelter or long-term shelter. Someone may be homeless. In fact, the research tells us that 50% of the women who are homeless as a result of a domestic violence situation. So there's very unique reasons that might draw someone into that kind of homelessness situation.
Excellent. Well, then my last comment is just thank you very much for the service. It's obviously well used and well needed.
Well, thank you, and we really appreciate the city's support. We have a really strong 2-on-1 because of the city and the county support, so we really thank you very much for that.
Councilmember Lister, sir, I'm sorry, we're still answering here, and then he can get to you. No, that's okay.
I'll come sit next to you.
Yeah, there you go. Councilmember Lister.
Thank you. No, I'm sure everyone here has all sorts of questions. It was lovely attending your 20-year anniversary
Thank you for
gathering
being there.
breakfast. In fact, that is where I learned about that you would have resources for PSPS events. And I was not aware of that. And you've shared some of that here. I just want to mine a little bit more of that so I understand better. Anyone who has who needs an emergency battery backup or some nature,
Yeah.
or is having some kind of a crisis because of that, should dial your number.
Absolutely.
Not the city, but should dial 211.
That's
I
what
just
you
want to know
pay
where they
us
can
for.
actually get
We're-
help.
We're there 24 hours a day to do just that. And I would say even before there is a power outage. So if you've had PSPS power outages before and you have sensitive equipment, call us in advance. We can help plug you into programs that Southern California Edison does to be able to give people battery backups, et cetera.
So do you have, I mean, sometimes it's hard to reach people at SCE. Do you have a direct line, a different back line? How does it work? Do you say, call this number, or do you?
Well, in our contract, they actually provide funds available that 211 controls, and we're able to then deploy some of those funds
Very good.
in particular situations. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially during those shutoffs, if there's a need for alternate housing or food replacement, some of those kinds of things. There are specific programs that the utilities have enabled us to operate for them. So really the first call is to 211, and we can help you sort it from there.
Excellent. And then just to follow up on what Mayor Kavanaugh was saying, so if someone calls, you identified where they're calling from based on self-tower, or do they self say, hey, I'm here in Simi Valley at this address, help me?
Yeah, that's right.
Or is it a little bit of both?
The tower will send those calls to the correct 211. So if you're in Ventura County, those calls will come to our office.
Got it.
And then we just ask people, usually one of the first questions, what's your zip code? And then we can know to narrow down the kinds of resources that might be close to you. Yeah.
And do you refer, I mean, obviously we're in Ventura County, you help Santa Barbara County. Do you refer into LA County, into Santa Barbara County?
We don't
Or is it-
cover ourselves LA County, but we do cover Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, Monterey, Santa Cruz, all the way up the coast into the Bay Area and some Northern California counties as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks for the support.
Thank you for your presentation. We appreciate it.
very much.
Very informative.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 3C1, informational presentation by Youth Council Member Lakshmi Julakanti.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. My name is Lakshmi Julakanti, and I'm a freshman at Santa Susana High School, and I'm extremely honored to be representing the Simi Valley Youth Council and to provide this informational report on the work we've done throughout the month of April. Thank you for your continued support, which allows us to create meaningful opportunities for the youth in our community. Earlier this month, on April 4th and 5th, we hosted our biggest and most popular event of the year, the annual Simi Valley Youth Council Talent Show at the Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center. The theme for this year's show was A Night Under the Stars, and it truly lived up to the name. The event brought together performers from across Simi Valley, including singers, dancers, magicians, filmmakers, and more. This year marked a new milestone for us, as for the first time, we introduced a 2-night format, which allowed even more students to showcase their talents. Altogether, both nights welcomed over 150 attendees and featured over 20 performers, creating a vibrant and inclusive celebration for youth creativity. The support from the community was absolutely incredible. We were also thrilled to have Councilmember Elaine Litzer as a guest judge. Awards were given out both nights for People's Choice and People's Choice Best Youth Act. Judges' awards included Best Vocal Performance, Best Dance, and Best Music Ensemble. These prizes were made possible by months of fundraising in collaboration with local businesses and community members, led by our very own Youth Council members. One of the most exciting moments of this event was our Minute to Give It challenge. The audience had just 60 seconds to donate as much as they could, and the Youth Council members sprinted through the crowd to collect it all. It was such a high energy and fun way to raise support for our event. In that 1 minute alone, we raised $260, proving that every second and every person matters when it comes to making a difference. Another important highlight of the talent show was the debut of our public service announcement, which was written, filmed, and edited entirely by our Youth Council members. In the video, 4 Youth Council members were featured. The PSA addressed the dangers of alcohol and drug use, especially among youth, and encouraged students to make healthy, informed decisions. We wanted to send a message that being creative and making good choices are actually not mutually exclusive, they go hand in hand. Sharing this important message during such a creative event made it resonate even more, and we're proud to have used our platform to raise awareness and make a positive impact. A few days ago, on April 17th, we hosted our second annual Multicultural Fair at Santa Susana High School. The event brought together over 200 attendees and featured 15 booths that celebrated the diversity of cultures around the world. We had food tastings, performances, and hands-on cultural experiences. One of our most popular stations this year was our henna booth, which allowed students to experience this beautiful South Asian art form. The Youth Council also performed an Indian dance at the fair, as we worked closely with clubs and organizations from different schools and cultural groups throughout Simi Valley to ensure the event was as inclusive and festive as possible. In a world that often feels divided, events like these remind us that diversity is not something to be celebrated, it's something that brings us together. Looking ahead, we're preparing for another one of our events, Teen Wellness Night, which will take place on Friday, May 16th at the Simi Valley Public Library. This event will offer students an opportunity to relax and recharge after AP testing, with a focus on mental and emotional health. We will continue our successful Unplugged Day initiative, where students are encouraged to disconnect from their phones and engage in real-life activities and conversations. Students who track the lowest screen time will have a chance to win potential prizes. This year, we are also going to be introducing a STEPS challenge called Step into Wellness, where qualified students can enter a raffle and potentially win a pair of headphones. Many teens are often overwhelmed by stress and constant digital connection, so we hope to create a space that reminds them your well-being matters just as much as your achievements. To stay up to date with all of our events and initiatives, we encourage the community to follow this Youth Council on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Simi Valley Youth Council, as well as on TikTok at SVYC2929. On behalf of the entire council, I want to thank you once again for your support. Your encouragement gives young people in Simi Valley a voice and the power to lead. Together, we're proving that when youth are trusted, empowered, and supported, they rise. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Thank you. That was a wonderful presentation, and you're a freshman. We have much to look forward to with you as you grow up here, so thank you very much. Does anyone have any comments? Councilmember Litster.
I just want to say, Lakshmi, that was beautiful. Wonderful presentation, and it was an absolute honor to be part of the talent show. That was difficult. There were some really wonderful acts, and every one of you were involved in so many different ways, so thank you. The one thing I had, you're doing this unplugged thing for youth. I think the adults need it almost as much as the youth. And I just want to know if the youth could talk about how they could plan that for us adults. So just a thought for the future. But thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you so much.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 4, public statements. During this agenda item 4, the city will hear public statements from the first 10 persons who have submitted speaker cards. After the first 10 persons have spoken, subsequent persons who submitted speaker cards will be called to speak during agenda item 6, which is a continuation of agenda item 4. Agenda items 4 and 6 are the times allotted for public statements on all items other than public hearings, appointments, and informational reports. Speakers will be called in the order in which their card was submitted to speak for this public statements item 4 for a period of no more than 3 minutes each. Persons addressing the City Council are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Madam Mayor, unless you have any comments, we can begin public statements.
Please begin.
Thank you. Suresh Bami.
Good evening, members of City Council and the Mayor. I have been a resident of Simi Valley for the last 15 years. I admit I've not been coming to the council meetings. I started now. This is my second time I'm here. I just have two general comments. One is the condition of our roads. I feel we can do better than that. If you look next door to Thousand Oaks, the roads and the way they're maintaining, resurfacing are much better than ours. Secondly, about the rise in cost for the sewage, how come Thousand Oaks, which is a city comparable to us, as it is $20 a month less than ours? What is it they're doing right and we are doing wrong? I just had the two general comments, Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Melissa Baldridge.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and council members. My name's Melissa Baldridge. I'm a resident of Camarillo, and my family and I frequent the city of Simi Valley. We love the open spaces here for hiking, biking, and walking our dogs. In 2012, when I was residing in Hollywood, a mountain lion was discovered living in Griffith Park, which seemed impossible. I knew almost nothing about mountain lions and became immediately curious. For example, I wanted to know how likely would it be that I might encounter one while walking on a trail, or if a mountain lion might show up at my back door while taking my dog out for one last potty break at night. To be honest, I was very naive. I'd allow my dog to be off leash in open spaces because she had really good recall, but I also assumed that mountain lions weren't active during daylight. P22's life inspired me to want to understand what it meant to have mountain lions living among us as neighbors. And this curiosity took me down a path of engaging and volunteering with several organizations with a focus on wild urban life conservation. Today, I'm pleased to share resources from one such organization, Cougar Conservancy, who've made significant strides in addressing human-cougar conflicts and fostering coexistence within local communities. Recognizing the power of collaboration, I'm addressing the Simi Valley City Council with the intention of sharing resources and providing valuable tools to benefit our community. The majority of pet-related conflicts predominantly occur in cougar habitat or along the urban wildland interface, impacting everyday people. As an elected official, your role in communicating solutions is pivotal for community well-being and public safety. The Cougar Conservancy frequently observes community members investing time and money in ineffective and unsuccessful measures, often resulting in preventable conflicts with wildlife, including the loss of domestic pets and livestock, which leads to frustration within the community. The Cougar Conservancy's Conflict Task Force conducts work remote and on the ground to prevent conflicts when they occur. A short list of their offerings include providing support through their conflict hotline, through free public presentations and events, free cougar-proof enclosure consultations to help residents safeguard domestic pets and livestock, conduct safety trainings on non-lethal coexistence tools such as bear spray and air horns to prevent conflict with cougars, coyotes, and other wildlife. They have a number of other resources such as an online ebook, a cougar coexistent video series, and so much more. In closing, fostering coexistence begins with equipping our community with effective tools and clear guidance. I encourage the City Council to consider integrating these valuable resources into public outreach efforts and to reach out to Cougar Conservancy if you need any support with human-wildlife interactions. I appreciate your time, and I've also brought a few items that I can share with you. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last speaker we have is Greg Litster.
He's only coming up because it is our 37th wedding anniversary today. And dear, it's lovely seeing you. And he has survived long, and even cleaned.
I know how to say yes.
And he cleaned up.
And I'm sorry I was wrong.
Time's up. Just kidding.
Yes.
Mayor Kavanaugh, City Council, and my dear wife Elaine. It was Christmas Day, 1987, 38 years ago, when Elaine Pack said yes to my 5th wedding proposal. It took her a while to say yes. And 4 months later, April 21, 1988, we were married in Idaho Falls, Idaho. Today, as Elaine mentioned, is our 37th wedding anniversary, and she is sharing it with her special friends here at City Council. Now, this is a picture of our wedding. This was taken 37 years ago. Beautiful. It was a Thursday. It was cloudy and it was perfect. When I met Elaine, she was living in Boise, Idaho, where she was an admissions counselor for Boise State University. I grew up in Boise. I milked cows, I shoveled manure, I bucked hay, drove a tractor. And after 7 years of college, I moved to Los Angeles to become a commercial banker. Elaine, being the oldest of 13, did not milk cows or shovel manure, but she did participate in what's called spud harvest, where 2 weeks out of the year, in the fall, schools shut down and all the kids work for farmers to bring these potato crops in. Well, later, Elaine, as she advanced and developed, as she later became Miss Idaho and participated in the Miss America pageant and won a trophy as a talent winner. And this is a picture of Miss Idaho, which was one of the incentives for me to come to Boise from LA to Miss.
It's so 80s hair.
It's always good to marry up. Lucky she did. Yes. And so I just want to say thank you very much for saying yes. And I have something for if you'd like to come over here and get this.
Dear, your time's up.
This is better than an anniversary date.
Thank you very much. Oh, and there's some additional flowers for Dee Dee and Samantha and the clerks, assistant clerks, and the photographer.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Aw, that was so sweet. There we go. Thank you. Congratulations on 37 wonderful years.
Thank you. Thank you, dear.
Thank you for the views of the pictures. That was great, Craig.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 4A, City Council comments regarding public statements.
I have nobody wishing to speak. We may move on. You can say thank you again.
Thank you, dear. What can I say after that one? Love you. 37 more.
All right, we can move on to the next item.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is public hearings. This is a time for testimony on public hearings on the consideration of matters as presented on this agenda. Let the record show that due notice was given as required by law, and an affidavit to this effect is on file in the office of the City Clerk. All comments submitted by email have already been provided to the City Council and will be made part of the record. However, they will not be read by the City Clerk this evening. Speakers will be called on in the order in which the card was submitted for this public testimony item 5 for a period of no more than 5 minutes each. Persons addressing the City Council are requested to state their name and community residence for the record. Comments shall be limited to matters relevant to the item on the agenda and may be ruled out of order if comments are unrelated to the item. The reports of city staff relating to these matters shall be made part of the record of this meeting. If you challenge in court any of the council decisions made here tonight, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at this public hearing. The time within which judicial review must be sought is governed by California Code of Civil Procedure, Section 1094.6. Item 5A, a public hearing to adopt a resolution authorizing the City of Simi Valley to join the California Statewide Communities Development Authority and participate in the statewide community infrastructure program. The reading of the resolution is as follows. Resolution number 2025-09, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Simi Valley authorizing the agency to join the statewide community infrastructure program, authorizing the California Statewide Communities Development Authority to accept applications from the property owners, conduct special assessment proceedings and levy assessments and special taxes, and to form assessment districts and community facility districts within the territory of the City of Simi Valley, embodying a joint community facilities agreement, setting forth the terms and conditions of community facilities district financings, approving of the acquisition agreement for use when applicable, and authorizing related actions. And assistance to the city manager, Angel Sierra, is here to present this item.
Thank you. Before we begin, are there any ex parte communications to report? No. Staff may begin with the oral report on this matter.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. Tonight for your consideration is Resolution Number 2025-09, authorizing the City of Simi Valley to join the California Statewide Communities Development Authority and participate in the Statewide Community Infrastructure Program, or SCIP. The CSCDA is a joint powers authority sponsored by the League of California Cities and the California State Association of Counties. SCIP is a program that has been in place since 2002 and has been used by over 530 local agencies across California. Joining the CSCDA will allow property owners in Simi Valley to access SCIP as a financing mechanism for public infrastructure related to development. This is particularly beneficial for residential projects that require significant infrastructure investment. Through SCIP, property owners can finance public capital improvement and development-related fees using tax-exempt bond financing, either through pooled or standalone assessments or through community facility districts. Participation in SCIP is entirely voluntary. If the program is used, CSCDA administers the entire process from district formation to bond issuance and ongoing administration at no cost or liability to the city. For property owners, SCIP provides access to long-term, low-cost financing that can reduce upfront costs and improve project feasibility. For the city, SCIP offers a competitive economic development tool that supports timely construction of public infrastructure and encourages fee payments in larger blocks. The proposed resolution allows the CSCDA to accept applications from property owners within our jurisdiction and carry out all necessary actions to implement this financing mechanism, including the option to fund public services through special taxes and standalone projects. The action before you this evening is solely to join CSCDA to allow applicants within our jurisdiction to access the SKIP program. There are no specific project under consideration as part of this action, and any future projects proposed for SKIP financing will be required to go through the city's existing review and approval processes. This concludes staff report, and staff is available to answer any questions. Additionally, Mr. James Hamill, Managing Director of the CSCDA, is present this evening and available to address any questions from the council.
Thank you. Are there any questions of staff from City Council? Councilmember Rhodes?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What other bond strategies are there for this type of financing to a developer?
So so we currently offer both this particular has the CFDs, Community Facilities District, as well as the and just a classic. But I would definitely invite Mr. Hamill if he'd like to comment on that as well.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, Councilmember Rhodes. It would really be assessment district financing and community facility district financing that would be available for this program because we do it on a pooled basis. It allows for smaller projects that typically want to have access to this capital, to access the capital because the costs are so high to do these type of financing.
That was going to be my follow-up question: is what's the difference between the programs and why do we need more than one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's because it's for smaller projects. Exactly.
Perfect. Thank you.
Councilmember Lister.
My question, reading the report and even tonight, you've given a laundry list of lots of good benefits. I didn't see any listing of any potential disadvantages. Are there any? I realize I'm talking to a biased source. So let me ask the city, do you see any potential disadvantages to this?
You know, our evaluation of the program doesn't have a lot of disadvantages. Again, as noted in the staff report, the city is free of liability, doesn't have to pay back these bonds. It's all done through the CSCDA. Again, it's a financing mechanism for developers, and ultimately the city does have the authority to review and approve anything going through the CSCDA.
So I guess that answers and that's kind of one of my questions is whether this might be, that we might lose control over developers in essence, in a sense, not that we're trying to control them, but obviously what I'm hearing you say is that this is not something offered to any developer. Any developer can't come in and say, well, you've now agreed to set up, to be part of this JPA, so I need money for this, and so you have to allow me to do it, basically, if we approve their project.
Right, it has to meet the criteria already identified, which is public projects. So it has to have that component to it. And again, you know, the city does have the authority to kind of review the proposal based on whatever their scope of work or whatever they're requesting. So if they're asking for a particular funding amount and that isn't consistent with what the cost the city determines it to be, they have the authority to reject that.
Okay, help me understand. I'm concerned, like let's say the developer comes in, and one of the advantages you listed is that potentially the housing price could be less because basically on the buyer's tax bill will be the bond repayment for the roads, the whatever, the sewer, water. And so I'm concerned that a home buyer then will, I guess I just want to understand the transparency. Is a home buyer, for instance, are they notified in advance that their tax bill will be several $1,000s more annually because of this? And is that notification given through realtors, when is that notification, how is it made?
Yeah, but you can elaborate.
Yeah, so there's really two mechanisms there. Number one, on all the disclosures that a home buyer gets when they purchase a property, it is put in bold letters that there is this assessment or special tax on the tax roll. That's number one. When they pull the title report and they're looking at the title report, it will show up on there as a line item there. But we do require all developers that we work with to make sure that it is highlighted to the homeowners. If they do not do that, we do not allow them to participate going forward. So that is a condition of them participating in the program with our program so that every homeowner knows walking in that this has happened, that this is there, and that special tax is on the property itself.
Okay, and am I correct in understanding that it's capped at 2% of the tax bill? Is that correct? Or how does that work?
Yeah, so the increase is 2% annually. There's a state law, Prop 13.
That's what I thought, okay.
Is 1% ad valorem, and that's capped at 2%. Typically, what you see across California, in even areas like this, is the tax rates are typically 1.5 to 1.6% total. They don't go up to 2% or even higher than that, because if a home in one block is paying 1.5% and another home is paying 1%, they're going to have problems selling that home. So when developers come in, they try and max the tax, or they try and match the tax rates that are within the jurisdiction or the area that's happening at.
Okay, and I'm sorry, one final question, just because I'm trying to understand this better. This 2% let's say they're 1.5, 1.6, is there potential problem for the city? Let's say we have a sewer assessment that increases on their, for instance, that shows up on their property tax. Could they potentially be maxed out with this program, and then the city, for instance, couldn't assess something? Not that I want to. I'm not an advocate for this. I want to be very clear. I just want to understand how this works.
The sewer is a separate assessment.
So, but isn't it cumulative? The assessments together can't be more than 2%, or is it one single assessment can't be 2%?
It's not a max. It's a 2% increase annually, so it's not a max tax at 2%. So what I'm saying is that the typical is 1.5, and they do that. Most cities, counties do the 1.5 to 1.6 because they want to have that bumper room in case there are additional assessments that are put on later in time.
Well, and I guess that's what I'm asking, whether this would cause us not to have that room. Okay, fair enough. I think I understand.
Councilmember Ayala?
Thank you. So the program has been around a long time, 23 years. So I'm wondering why it's just coming now to us.
So we don't actively market the program to agencies. We go where there are projects, potential projects. We are mostly targeting in areas where there are 1,000, 3,000, 4,000 unit developments, because that's who uses the program as a whole. So if you look at where the program has been used, it's a lot in the Sacramento region that has been growing dramatically, Riverside County, Eastern Riverside County, where you have large developments. So that's probably why you haven't seen us in this area. And even the Los Angeles or Ventura County area, we haven't done much. We've done one community facilities district up in the city of Oxnard. That's probably the closest one here. But it's just that we don't go proactively market the program as a whole.
And we have previously had a Melrose district. I believe it was the Wood Ranch development, but it's been a number of years. And when we did that, staff administered it, as opposed to this particular instance where it would be administered by the agency. So staff was not typically a fan of doing it and doing the administration of it, because it was very staff intensive, very time intensive. But this program alleviates that concern.
And when you see, so let's say people start using it, let's say the applications come in, which are probably going to be far and few between, right? What would be the grounds for disqualifying someone? Or is it really just a pass-through that anyone who applies, they're kind of signed off?
So there's really two key factors. Number one, if the developer or a prior project has a bankruptcy. So if they have a bankruptcy, we do not allow them to come through the program, so that disqualifies them. Number two, if they are trying to load on too much debt to the property itself that is beyond the credit qualifications, because the bonds that we sell are sold to the public marketplace. If they are putting too much debt on property or properties, we can't go out and sell those bonds. So what we make sure before we come to your staff is that all those check boxes are checked, and make sure that they haven't hit those thresholds of credit quality and or bankruptcies before it comes even to your staff. So it is not an automatic that the application comes in and we just accept it. The other thing we do is we work hand in hand with your staff to ensure that everything they're looking to finance is financeable, is indifferent, because we are really doing this on your behalf. We don't have the independent power to come into your city and levy an assessment. We are doing this on your behalf. So we need to get all the authorizations from your staff and make sure that that is okay.
And then the final question is, I see it's like an open-ended agreement, meaning there's no due date or contract end date. So, and I'm sure that we're going to have a great relationship with CSCDA if this goes through. But in the chance that there's not, since it's not in the there's no like severance clause in the contract. So if we as the city, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, say this agreement just isn't working out, what's the process to dissolve that relationship?
So the city council would bring a resolution back opting out of the program as a whole. Where we did see this happen in the past, just a real life example is you may have heard in the past of PACE programs, Property Assessed Clean Energy programs. We offered that program. There were issues in some cities with it, with some property owners, and some of those cities opted out of that program. They adopted a resolution, said we do not want to participate, goes in our files, and they are taken out of the program as a whole. So all the city council would have to do is to do an opt-out resolution.
Okay, great, thank you.
Councilmember Rhodes?
Actually, you answered my question in there is sort of. Let the developer get started. Their bonds have been issued, and they start to do the improvements on the infrastructure, and then they never develop the houses. Where's the risk there? Who's on the hook? How does that play out?
So the bondholder, the investors who purchase those bonds are the ones on the hook for those. The nice thing for the city is that from a staff perspective, if we have to go in and foreclose because those bondholders aren't being paid, we have our own foreclosure counsel. Your city attorney doesn't get involved in that. We handle all those proceedings there. So ultimately, we have the ability to foreclose on that property. In most cases, 99% of the time, what happens is another developer or investor comes in, buys a property, and then develops it going forward. So we haven't seen any properties since the inception of the program just completely go vacant. And the reason being is that for all of our projects, we require that there be some construction started before we actually issue bonds. Because investors they learned in 2008 and prior that you don't want to buy vacant land and then have it sitting there and not be able to be built on.
No other questions. At this time, I would like to open the hearing for anyone in the city council chambers wishing to be heard on this matter.
Madam Mayor, we have no speaker cards for this item.
Thank you. Does staff desire to respond to any comments or issues?
They've all been answered.
Thank you. Okay, this hearing is now closed. Any further comments or questions from city council members? Okay, I will now entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move the City Council adopt resolution number 2025-09, authorizing the City of Simi Valley to join the California Statewide Communities Development Authority and participate in the statewide community infrastructure program.
Second.
Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. On to our next item. I see a lot of familiar faces out there for this next item, so wake up.
Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, the next item is item 5B, a public hearing to consider the annual position vacancy report in compliance with Assembly Bill 2561, and Deputy Human Resources Director Jennifer Gutierrez and Senior Human Resources Analyst Jamie Cross are here to present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and
Sorry,
members.
before we begin, are there any ex parte communications to report? Sorry, I was slow on that. All right, you may move forward.
There we go. Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and members of the City Council. On January 1, 2025, Assembly Bill 2561 amended the Myers-Milius-Brown Act to mandate that public agencies at least once per fiscal year hold a public hearing regarding the status of their job vacancies. Senior Human Resources Analyst Jamie Cross will now present the city's report.
As previously stated, AB 2561 created an obligation for public agencies to publicly address the status of their job vacancies. It's on. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. I'll start over. As previously stated, AB 2561 created an obligation for public agencies to publicly address the status of their job vacancies. As such, the city is required to do the following: hold a public hearing each fiscal year prior to adoption of the final budget to present information on the status of vacancies and recruitment and retention efforts, as well as identify any necessary changes to policies, procedures, and recruitment activities that may lead to obstacles in the hiring process. Allow bargaining units to make presentations during the public hearing concerning vacancies and recruitment retention efforts, and should the number of job vacancies within a single bargaining unit meet or exceed 20% of the total number of authorized positions, and if requested by employee organization, the city is required to provide additional details on job vacancies, number of applicants, days to complete the hiring process, and opportunities to improve compensation and other working conditions. The city has 532 budgeted full-time positions amongst the management group, PMA, POA, SEIU, and SVEA. As of December 31st, 2024, the number of vacancies, budgeted positions, and vacancy rate are listed per group, with a citywide vacancy rate of 11.7%. As noted, there are no groups at or exceeding a 20% vacancy rate, and staff has not identified any necessary changes to policies, procedures, or recruitment activities that would present obstacles in the hiring process. Excluding retirements, 34 employees voluntarily separated from the city in 2024. Of those, 38% listed higher salary or better opportunity as the reason for leaving. In addition, 47% listed personal reasons, or they simply quit without notice, which could mean they may have also left for higher salaries. Because of these statistics, staff has proposed conducting a citywide salary survey for the upcoming fiscal year 25-26 budget. Staff continues to focus on advertising and emphasizing city benefits, alternative work schedules, and work-life balance, our beautiful city and its amenities, and ensuring job descriptions are up to date and recruitment processes are streamlined as much as possible. Staff works to ensure retention by completing background and reference checks, providing a 2-day welcome orientation with tours to city facilities, promoting employee activities and recognition, and coordinating a variety of training opportunities. This concludes our presentation, and staff is available for questions.
Are there any questions for staff from council? Councilmember Rhodes, is this from leftover or new? Okay. We have no questions at this time. The following bargaining units, Service Employees International Union, SEIU, Local 721, and Police Managers Association, or PMA, will be called to provide their presentations on the matter. Each bargaining unit will have 10 minutes for their presentation. I can determine which one goes first. Let's go with the SEIU since they're listed first.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Good evening, council members, Madam Mayor. My name is Carson Acosta. I'm Regional Director for SEIU Local 721 here in our Tri-Counties region, representing the general unit of the city of Simi Valley. This year, members of SEIU 721 who work across the city in nearly every city department are about to begin negotiations. As we begin bargaining, this is the perfect opportunity to draw some attention to key issues that affect recruitment and retention of city employees that make the city run. We prepared a presentation to highlight some key data as we begin presentation. We also wanted to give our members the opportunity to share some of the effects of staffing and recruitment and retention efforts. As stated prior, the bargaining unit for SEIU 721 has a little over 15% vacancy rate. And looking, it's a large graph there, but if you look at the different job classifications represented by our local, the hardest to fill positions, this is the number of days from the days posted, the day filled would be office assistant, taking 324 days on average to fill. The reasons we looked reasons for separation within our bargaining unit, overwhelmingly for higher salary. Taking a look at those two job classifications that were hardest to fill, office assistant 2 and maintenance worker, when looking at comparable cities, the starting salary in the city of Simi Valley for an office assistant 2, $19.27. In the city of Camarillo, that's $21.68, and in Thousand Oaks is $25.91. The top of the scale, actually, if you look, the top of the scale at the city of Simi Valley, $24.47, is actually less than the starting salary in Thousand Oaks. Maintenance worker 2 is very similar, 39% under market to Thousand Oaks to start, 12% under market to the city of Camarillo, and the top of the scale, 32% under market to Camarillo, 46% under market to the city of Thousand Oaks. And so obviously that has a dramatic impact on the city's ability to recruit and retain staff. And I wanted to make sure our members have the opportunity to share some of the experience of how that affects not just the work that they do, but the services that our members provide to the public and the residents of the city of Simi Valley. And so with that, I'll turn it over to our chapter board president, Vivian DeLuca.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Kavanaugh and council members. My name is Vivian DeLuca, and I am the SEIU Local 721 Chapter Board President here at the City of Simi Valley for the General Unit employees. I am an administrative technician at the police department and will have been employed with the city for 16 years in May. Today, I would like to address an issue that profoundly affects the vitality and success of our city: our inability to retain employees due to inadequate pay. This isn't just about numbers on a paycheck. It's about valuing the people who form the backbone of this community. When wages fail to reflect the rising cost of living, it creates a ripple effect. Talented workers, public service and safety personnel, and city staff start looking elsewhere, not because they want to leave, but because they need to survive. Surrounding cities offering better compensation quickly become magnets for our workforce, and we are left grappling with understaffed departments, reduced services, and a decline in morale. The irony is that turnover ends up costing us more. Recruitment, training, and lost productivity places a hefty financial burden on the city's resources. Meanwhile, employees who remain take on more responsibilities, leading to burnout and further departures. It's a vicious cycle, and the only way to break it is by investing in competitive, equitable pay. When we prioritize fair compensation, we send a clear message. We value our employees, and we want them to thrive here in our city. It fosters loyalty, attracts new talent, and strengthens the community. By failing to address this issue, we're not just losing employees, we're losing the future potential of our city. The solution isn't easy, but it's essential. Let's work together to build a city that people want to be a part of, a city that honors its employees with the pay they deserve. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Brooke Dunbar.
My name is Brooke Dunbar. I'm a communications supervisor to our police department, and I've been with the city for just under 5 years. I'm sure I've spoke with several people in this room on the phone, either for a complaint or maybe for a traumatic moment of your life that you're going through. Being a dispatcher, we prepare ourselves for those moments and we do what we can to step in and help. And while assisting officers and helping people is fulfilling, our lack of staffing is taking a toll on our overall well-being. I'm advocating for myself and for my partners because we're struggling with all the hours that we're being mandated to work. These mandates are due to staffing issues that ultimately are a result of retention problems. We're the lowest paid agency in the county, and we're losing quality dispatchers to our neighboring agencies. We've lost 9 dispatchers recently, with one of our current dispatchers are in backgrounds with a higher paying agency right now. Some have left simply for the pay, while one has left for a pay increase and a lateral hiring bonus. The city is investing money on training, background process, recruitments, and sending trainees to a post academy, all for that training and knowledge to be taken to a higher paid agency. We currently have 13 dispatchers of our allotted 17, but only 9 of us are fully trained and qualified and have to keep our center operating 24/7. And yeah, that's 9, the same number of the amount of dispatchers that we've lost recently. The 9 of us work anywhere from 44 to 68 hours a week, and we could be mandated to work up to 6 days a week, along with 16 hours a day. We're depleting other areas of the department by having to pull experienced officers from patrol into dispatch to help with coverage in our room. This is because our dispatchers are essential, and our police department simply can't operate without us. We hold ourselves to high standards and we take pride in helping our city, but our reality is that most of the day that our center is covered by only 2 dispatchers at a time since we're so short-staffed. So all it takes is events like a pursuit, a fire, a traffic accident, or an assault to instantly make it to where we're physically unable to handle all the tasks that we're expected to handle in the appropriate amount of time. You may have seen the Nixle highlighting the decrease in overall crime for 2024. And toward the bottom, there's a chart showing the total incoming calls increasing by over 4,000, as well as inputted calls for service increasing by 972. We're a hardworking but understaffed team that is being overworked, and we're extremely burnt out. So not just as a dispatcher, but as a wife and a mom that's just trying to get by, I ask that you support your community's dispatchers and our families by correcting our compensation so we can retain the staffing that we desperately need in order to allow fair working conditions and a healthy work-life balance. Thank you.
Well, Mayor, City Council, I'm going to try and do this as fast as I can. On the city's website, there's 250 jobs listed for Simi Valley jobs. 76 of those jobs have a starting wage of under $25 an hour. That's over 30% of all city jobs that are under $25 an hour to start. I wrote down some of the notable ones: human resources, $22 an hour; bus drivers, $23 an hour; inventory specialists, $20 an hour; building maintenance techs, mechanics, heavy equipment operator, backhoe, in the streets, $24.35 an hour; tree trimmers, police records, accounting techs, maintenance worker, 3. That's 2 promotions, and you're still making under $25 an hour. So a little personal thing for me is my daughter. I'm very proud of her. She works at In-N-Out Burger. She's worked there for a year and a half. Her wage is $24.75 an hour, which is 32 cents more than any job I just listed for you right there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, council members. As I began, we are entering our collective bargaining with the city, and we hope that through that process we can begin to address some of the issues with retention, recruitment, and compensation for the city's most valuable asset, and that is the city's employees. So with that, we'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the bargaining unit from city council members?
Not at this time. I congratulate you on staying under the 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question for you.
The second bargaining unit is the Police Management Association.
Yeah.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Brian Samples. I'm currently the Patrol Bureau Commander of the Simi Valley Police Department. I appreciate your time and being able to speak here tonight on behalf of the proud members of the PMA and POA here, who I might point out are in attendance above 50. As Madam Mayor, you pointed out, there's quite a few familiar faces here in the crowd. So currently, the Simi Valley Police Department, we're slated to have 124 officers. Right now, we have 105 functioning working officers. I have 6 officers currently out on long-term IOD. And more concerning, I have 6 officers currently employed that are looking to lateral to new agencies. They are currently in backgrounds with other agencies. Earlier last week, I provided council with a packet of information, including some salary surveys we conducted on our own, graphs representing the salaries of the Simi Valley Police Department and those competing agencies that we see within our county, as well as those within our own salary survey. There's an urgent need for the council to take action on this matter. We are seeing officers leaving in numbers that we have never experienced before, and our staffing is reaching critically low levels. As stated, right now we've actually had to functionally reduce services beginning with our summer deployment beginning May 19th of this year. The result of that being is we are taking a detective out of investigations, the totality of which is 720 investigative hours that will be lost this summer, resulting in cases being delayed in investigation and victims not receiving the resolution to their cases in the same timely manner that we've become accustomed to. In addition, we've also pulled a traffic officer from traffic safety, another 720 hours of officer man hours that aren't available to enforce traffic violations and investigate traffic collisions here within the city. Most alarmingly, we're pulling our entire special enforcement team off of the street for this summer. That's 4 officers and a supervisor, or 3,600 proactive investigative hours that we use within the city. That unit is responsible for gang investigations, investigations of our illicit massage parlors, investigations of alcohol and tobacco sales to minors, and most alarmingly, they control our investigations for our probationers, parolees, and our wanted subjects within the community. You may have noticed recently there was a nixle put out this weekend about that same SET team pulling 2 illegal guns off a street off of a gang member who was arrested. So one of the charts I provided to you was the number of officers who have left the Simi Valley Police Department for various reasons in the last 5 years. You'll note on there that there's been a significant increase in officer departures, most notably the lateral officers that are leaving for other agencies with significantly higher compensation. We've also seen an increase in the number of officers who are unable to complete our field training program. The result of which is we are seeing a significantly smaller number of applicants to the police department, and the number of qualified applicants that have made it through the entirety of our training program is decreasing. The stance from the PMA, in conjunction with the POA and my fellow colleagues that are here, is that the compensation just isn't meeting the standards of the law enforcement community. The members of the Simi Valley Police Department did not create the environment for which salaries are measured for police officers around our part of the state. However, we've become the victim of low compensation over a number of years of contracts that have resulted in the Simi Valley Police Department being the lowest or near lowest in almost all categories, from officer all the way through assistant chief. Ultimately, this has resulted in our inability to effectively recruit, hire, and most importantly, retain the quality officers we have here at the Simi Valley Police Department. I provided these charts to council earlier last week. They are available here for the public to see, but you'll see the orange lines are the salaries of the Simi Valley Police Department, and then you have the 20 other agencies that we used as part of our salary survey, showing where we rank amongst those agencies. The result of which is currently our new officers with just coming out of the academy are paid 30% below market value when compared to the median pay of those agencies within that survey. Our top staff officer is currently 16% below the median pay for the agencies listed there. Overall, you'll see in the documents that you were provided a range of anywhere from 11% all the way up to 22% below market value based on rank. We're consistently ranked near the bottom of all agencies at all ranks. I'm really struggling with this pointer tonight. That's where I want to be. Thanks, Jamie. Again, this is for some of our other ranks, senior officer, sergeant, and commander, all well below that median and average line that you'll see there represented by the green and red lines above. Finally, I'd like to keep this short. I think SEIU did a fabulous job representing the overall concern of salaries within the city. But specifically for the police department, we are urgently advocating for our council to take swift and immediate action in these contract negotiations when it comes to our salaries and our ability to offer competitive wages for hiring new people, recruiting those people, and then retaining our officers that we have here now, which is vitally important to the longevity and success of us providing safety to our community. And with that, I will leave it open for council if there's any questions. Otherwise, thank you all for your time and allowing me up here to speak to you.
Thank you, Commander. Are there any questions of the bargaining unit from city council members? No. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it, Commander. At this time, I would like to open the hearing for anyone in the city council chambers wishing to be heard on this matter. I can clear a room, can't I?
We have no speaker. We have no speaker.
We have no speakers for this? Thank you. Does staff desire? No, we don't have any comments. So, see, this hearing is now closed. Any further comments or questions from city council? I will now entertain a motion to receive and file.
I so move.
Second.
Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 7, the consent calendar. And there are no resolutions for your consideration this evening.
I'd like to move the consent calendar.
Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is new business item 9A, approval and adoption of the 2025 legislative platform. And Deputy City Manager Heather Samagaise is presenting this item.
I believe she's in her office, so she should be here in just a moment. She's working on some final details for our trip to Sacramento tomorrow. But this item is being brought back to adopt the changes that the council made during the last discussion of the ledge platform, as well as some additional requested changes by Councilmember Rhodes. But I will let Deputy City Manager Sumagaisai provide the entire presentation in just a moment. And here she comes.
Yes, since he was going to get you. So-
Well, good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Tonight, we are bringing back before you for consideration an update to the city's 2025-27 legislative platform, which you know serves as a critical guiding document and providing a structured framework for evaluating our proposed legislation at both the state and federal levels. This allows us to determine whether the city should take a formal position, either in support or opposition, based on potential impacts to our community. The City Council initially reviewed and adopted the 2-year legislative platform at the March 31st meeting, and at that time, Council provided feedback and directed refinements to the document, which are incorporated in the version that you have before you today. Subsequently, also during the April 7th City Council meeting, Councilmember Rhodes requested that the city consider an additional update to allow Simi Valley to take a formal position on legislation specifically related to sober living facilities. This request was based on the growing concern across the state regarding the regulation and oversight of these facilities and the direct impacts felt here in our community. The proposed update before you tonight reflects that requested change. Specifically, the new language has been added under Section 6, page 19, under homelessness, and it states that we, the City of Simi Valley, support legislation for sober living and recovery homes that aligns with local efforts to ensure community safety and effective treatment options. This additional language assures that the city has clear authority to advocate for reforms that help local governments responsibly address sober living and recovery homes while balancing the needs of individuals seeking treatment with the rights and expectations of our neighborhoods. As background and in your staff report, Simi Valley currently houses approximately 10 sober living facilities, over which the city has no direct oversight. Approval and regulations are managed by various state agencies and the Ventura County Fire Protection District. Recognizing the broader significance of this issue, Councilmember Rhodes is serving as a member of the Sober Living Task Force, comprised of elected officials from across California. The task force has introduced a package of 9 bills to strengthen certification, licensing, and local regulation of sober living facilities. As a part of this effort, 4 of the 9 bills are being heard at various stages during legislative hearings this week in Sacramento. They are AB 424, AB 425, AB 492, and SB 329. Looking ahead, the City of Simi Valley is traveling this week to Sacramento to attend the League of California Cities annual City Leaders Summit. This conference provides cities with a valuable opportunity to connect with peers, elected officials, engage with leadership sessions, and learn about emerging issues facing other local governments. While we're there, Councilmember Rhodes has volunteered to represent the city and, with City Council's authorization, speak in support of the city's position on the sober living legislation currently under consideration. Tonight's action on the legislative platform will formalize the city's ability to support legislation in this area and allow Councilmember Rhodes to advocate on our behalf during hearings with the City Council's approval. One area I'd like to clarify related to our legislative process here at the city is that we do not employ a full-time legislative analyst dedicated solely to state or federal legislative affairs. Instead, city staff like myself closely monitor legislation in partnership with our state lobbying group, Joe Gonsalves and Sons, and we've been with that group for many years, while relying on also city existing staff resources to track bills and assess impacts. The city approaches legislative affairs strategically and selectively. We prioritize advocacy efforts around key areas most critical to Simi Valley's interests. These include things such as local control, public safety, infrastructure, and fiscal responsibility. We are also mindful not to dilute the city's voice by weighing in on every piece of legislation. When bills arise that fall outside the scope of the adopted legislative platform, staff will continue to present them to the City Council for formal policy direction. And in closing, tonight's legislative platform before you reflects the Council's feedbacks addresses the city's need regarding sober living facilities, and continues to position Simi Valley for strategic and effective advocacy moving forward. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Excuse me, Councilmember Lister?
Thank you for your presentation. Just to be clear, what we are discussing inserting is support legislation for sober living and recovery homes that aligns with local efforts to ensure community safety and effective treatment options. That's what we're discussing.
That is correct.
A couple of things I wanted just to be very clear. Sober living and recovery homes are not the same thing necessarily. In fact, sober living can be basically just a group of people getting together who don't have rules that preclude alcohol, et cetera, whereas recovery homes are, in my mind definition, are very different. They're prescribed, et cetera, some in terms of treatment, et cetera, but they span the whole gamut. So I just want to make that clear, but they all, I don't disagree that they all need to be part of what we're aware of and mindful of. The first thing that I had some concern with is that I really do not think that sober living should be placed under homelessness. Sober living or treatment facility, these are basically places where people live, and people choose to live there. I have acquaintances and friends who have chosen to live in that environment for various reasons, and so I prefer that we not place it under homelessness, but rather we place it under housing. Section 6, subpoint 1 is where we have housing. I think I had, if we could insert it wherever you feel is most appropriate. I had some thoughts on that, but anyway, that would be my first recommendation, is that we consider putting it under housing. And then another thought after we have that discussion of whether there's a consensus or thought about that. I think where I had possibly placed it, if I can find it quickly enough, is between G and H, for instance, under it's page 19 or 17 in our staff report. 9 talks about licensing of community care facilities. H talks about, anyway, in my mind, that kind of is possibly inserting it there, because sober living is another type of a living care facility. I don't care where it's inserted, but I just would recommend we put it with housing. I guess I'm asking I guess not as a question for you per se, as it is a question for my colleagues. Is there any thoughts about that you feel strongly one way or the other?
It drew my attention as well, but my main goal was to get it in there. And so if it goes under housing, I think that actually is more appropriate.
But the question is, if we move it now, do we have to redo this and bring it back?
No.
Okay.
It just gets, not looking for more work. I appreciate that.
Well, because we know we have some discussions going on this week, so we don't want to delay that either.
No. And the other thing in terms of wording, the wording is good. My question is, community and neighborhood mean the same thing to people here? If not, I would insert the word "and neighborhood" in that little statement, because I think in my mind, community is kind of the whole city. Neighborhood is specific prescribed areas that are directly affected, but it's not, I don't feel strongly about that, but it was just a discussion point. I would throw that in. Okay, so I would maybe add that to community, and okay, and then finally, I actually wanted, so we say support legislation for sober living and recovery homes that align with local efforts to ensure community and neighborhood safety and effective treatment options, if that's all right. I know that there are 9 different bills. I wrote them down. There's titles. Knowing that you were involved in that task force, could you maybe speak, Councilmember Rhodes? I would just be curious to know. I'm absolutely in favor of supporting this, but I'd love to know specifically the ones that you're speaking to tomorrow, or that are what beyond their title, because the title doesn't. I was having trouble finding the content.
Thank you for the question. The 254, you're going to help me with the numbers, Heather. 254,
424, 425, 492.
Yeah. Those are all tomorrow. And in a nutshell, because by title it's really kind of explanatory, is local control. And so what we lack now is any visibility on where these homes exist. They're not required in any way to register with the city. And these are different attempts in different directions to accomplish that goal of being able to have the city know where these facilities are. And that's as brief as I can make it, but they're all different tacks basically on the same thing. And with 9 bills in total, it's hoped that this visibility and control can be brought to the city level. And it's not a regulation to shut down, it's not a regulation to stand up, it's a regulation to know, right, to have visibility.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? We have a motion?
I move approval of the legislation, 2025 legislative platform, as it's been amended up here.
Second.
Thank you. Call for the vote. The motion passes unanimously. Madam Mayor and members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 10A, City Council member reports. Councilmember Ayala, would you like to start off, please?
Yes, I will start. On April 8th, I took my tour of the Rancho Simi Rec and Park District. Got to learn all about their programs and how they overlap with the city in some ways, but they're great partners there. On the 9th, I took a tour of the Admin Services Group and got to learn all about the work they do with RFPs and the audits and so forth. On the 12th, I went to the Brownie Olympics and represented the city there for the proclamation. That was 120 daisies and brownies doing their Olympics. I knew a lot of the parents there since my daughter is in Girl Scouts as well. On the 14th, I volunteered at the Vista Scholastic Book Fair. On the 15th, I went and took a tour of the Samaritan Center, which I know you all are very familiar with. One of the things they've changed in the past 6 months is in terms of the individuals getting just a handout of groceries. Instead, they set it up as a grocery store. And so they're able to pick their own things of what they actually like to eat. And it gives them a sense of independence and dignity in that way, which I think is a great addition. Also on the 15th, I went to the Youth Council meeting. You heard there's the Teen Wellness Night, which will be on Friday, May 16th here at the library. On the 16th, I went to the Youth Employment Services Advisory Board meeting, and their job and career fair is this Saturday, right? It's this Saturday at the library from 10 to 1. On the 17th, I went to my first ADA Paratransit Advisory Committee meeting. One of the interesting, not interesting, but I'll just say in terms of our dial-a-ride, just in the month of March, they did 3,443 individual trips. So it's a very well-used program and really needed here in the city, and people are very thankful for that. Also on the 17th, I went to the Multicultural Fair hosted by the Youth Council at Santa Susana High School. It was very well attended. And then that evening, I went to the Citizens Academy, and I was one of their speakers where I spoke on the volunteer opportunities that are offered here in the city. And yes, I can vouch that she was present and that she did ask questions in that meeting as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Litzter. Sorry, Councilmember Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On Tuesday, April 8th, I attended a interesting SCAG, sort of an ad hoc committee. It's the scholarship committee where we reviewed scholarship applications from all the counties represented in SCAG. I was representing Ventura County, and a total of think it was 8 $4,000 certificate scholarships are going to be awarded, and that was really fun to be a part of. Wednesday, April 9th, I attended via Zoom the Chamber Economic Development Committee and gave a report. On Friday, April 11th, I attended the Royals Pass and Review, and I was particularly honored to be there, excited to be there because my son also participated in Pass and Review when he went to Royal, and I was reliving some memories. Congratulations to all of those cadets, and especially to Flight B. Saturday, April 12th, in the morning, I attended the Rotary Cleanup Day on Tierra Rajada. If you've ever driven that stretch of road and say, hey, the cleanup sponsored by, there's 5 clubs between Simi and Moore Park, and a couple times a year, we all get our reflective gear on and go out and pick up trash. I like to go by Tierra Rajada Golf Course because I always find a whole bunch of golf balls there. Let's see. Not a city event, but one that benefits our community. There was a charity event for a group called Ride On, which is a equine therapy for those with PTSD, learning disabilities, physical handicaps. A great charity, a great event. Happened to be out in Santa Rosa Valley, but it benefits people here. Sunday, April 18th, another Rotary volunteer operation. The cleanup that's going on in Pacific Palisades, a lot of it is being assisted by reserves, from Army reserves, and, well, different unit reserves, yeah, National Guards there as well. And there was there's an encampment down there in the Malibu Center, and we went down with amenities that they don't get supplied by the Corps for things, just simple things like foot powder and someone put a hair cutting group together, and they did 300 haircuts down there for them. Tuesday, April 15th, a SCAG housing Zoom call, which had informative presentations. I always like to attend those because they, in one way or another, will apply to us, and I passed on some information to staff. An event that my Rotary Club does, seems like a Rotary report more than council. If you'll notice at the top of Mount McCoy, a giant white cross up there, during Easter week, it is illuminated by our Rotary Club. Tuesday happened to be my night to go up there with the generator and the lights and hang out, and it's a wonderful event. Thank you to the Rotary Club for now 40 years being up at the top of the mountain from sundown to midnight lighting the cross. Wednesday, April 16th, Councilwoman Litzner and I had the Simi Valley Arts Commission meeting, and I'll let her talk to that as chair. Wednesday, April 16th, Paul Harris Night, which is a moment to celebrate those in the community that have done special things in their lives, and they get awarded with a Paul Harris, and that was a wonderful night to attend. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Now, Councilmember Lister.
Thank you.
I missed her last week, so that's why I'm trying.
And I appreciate Councilmember Rhodes going. I wasn't quite ready. No, we're good. So thank you. Yes, today is my 37th wedding anniversary, and very sweet of him not to forget. So on Tuesday, April the 8th, you can appreciate this, Councilmember Ayala. I took my undercover ride on the bus. Actually, I needed to get to my car that was getting repaired, so I thought, I'm going to take the bus. And I found Route 20, John, a great driver, a lovely bus. There were 6 or 7 people on the bus with me, great service. My one comment, though, and I reached out to Ron, our head of Public Works, about this, is that the bus stops, there's no signage that tells you the times, the name of the route number, what the route actually is. It just says a little green sign that says bus stop. And I'm sure if you're a seasoned rider, you just know when it comes. But I did look it up with my internet, and I found the answer. But it took me, I had to find, anyway, it'd be nice to have a little more signage, I felt. But it was very lovely. But I was enough of a newbie that I even had to go up to the bus driver, and when he took a turn, I said, wait a minute, aren't you still going down LA Avenue? And he said, yes, he had to describe the route to me. So I'm just saying maybe people could, if they're new to see me, route maps along the route would maybe be helpful. But it was a very pleasant experience. Attended Neighborhood Council 2 that evening and learned about a development that will be coming before us eventually. Anyway, it's great to see the Neighborhood Councils in action. Wednesday, April 9th, attended the ribbon cutting grand opening for Regal Residence, which is actually, speaking of a residential facility for people that's limited to 6. It's a lovely facility for the seniors. Don Brode is the owner, and it's within walking distance of the senior center. In fact, it's just a few feet from here. A lovely, lovely place if you have a relative or a family member in need of special care. Anyway, beautiful home. Thursday, April 10th, it was good to have the presentation earlier tonight. That's when I attended the Interface 211 Ventura County celebrating the 20th anniversary. One of the things he gave a great presentation, and I learned much there tonight and there. One of the things that I thought was fascinating is, yes, they cover all of these counties in California, and they even cover a county in Illinois. And when they called up, when they answered the call about potential services, they thought they were talking about, I think it was Lake County, and they thought they were talking to a California entity, and then they came out that it was Illinois, and they said, no, we like what you're doing, we still want you. So yes, they're answering calls for California and a place in Illinois, so I thought that was very fun. Also on Thursday, April the 11th, I attended Moore Park State of the Union, and it was good to see how they do it. We do ours as well, but anyway, they hold theirs at the High Street Arts Center. I know we hold ours at the Simi Valley Community, Cultural Arts Center, which is a beautiful place. But one of the things I appreciated was their honesty. Lots of hype about all the beautiful things that were taking place, and yet in the report they said, in a couple of years we're going to probably have a deficit with maintaining our parks. And so I appreciated that they were very transparent about good, bad, and what they're dealing with. That evening was my Simi Valley Police Academy experience. That one was a tour of the county jail. And that I gained a greater appreciation of what our sheriff officers do, and just what it's like for those who are brought in. And anyway, I will say that there's a lot of care for people who are dealing with substance abuse issues. Much of that, it was very, very evident. Friday, April 11th, I too attended Royal High School's JROTC Pass and Review. It is so fun to go to it. And in fact, again, congratulations to Flight B. I will echo Councilmember Rhodes' comments. I think Flight B was outstanding because, is it called jury? What's it called when they do their competition? Judy call. It's a Judy call. I knew you'd know with a dad. Anyway, Flight B actually had it in kind of singing it, and I think that would just took them over the top. Saturday, April 12th, basically I played Jody. It's not Judy, it's Jody. Jody, thank you. I knew, I put jury. Okay, Jody, I was close. There we go. Anyway, that's April 12th, I played with a beautiful Lamb of God performance and then hopped in my car, drove all night to get to Page, Arizona, Zions National Park, where I biked and hiked with my sisters and realized, yes, I am much older than them, and I was feeling it, but I couldn't let them know it. Got back in time Wednesday. I got back Tuesday evening, but Wednesday attended the Simi Valley Arts Commission meeting. It was a very productive meeting where basically we were reviewing the budget of last year and the proposed budget for next year, which will be coming before us, of course. 30-year anniversary of Simi Valley Cultural Arts Center, which was wonderful. We talked, but basically they also have some wonderful, I will just show, wonderful performances happening there coming up to celebrate the 30th year anniversary. Everything from Hairspray to Sunday night comedies to Newsies is coming, and Shrek the musical, and lots of cover bands, etc. Anyway, get your own flyer, come to all their great events to celebrate 30 years of the Cultural Arts Center. And yes, I also attended the Rotary dinner, the Paul Harris Awards, and that was a lovely event. And it was great to see Councilmember Rhodes give a special award to his exchange student who was visiting. Excuse me, to the joint exchange student, shared by Mayor Kavanaugh. And you're correct. She has many loving parents here. Thursday, April 17th, I attended the 2025 Water Symposium, which was held in Oxnard. I will say that the title was Fire and Water Collaborative Solutions for a Sustainable Tomorrow. Some very interesting things that were shared. Much of it was really more about some of the lawsuits about water rights within our county and what's taking place. One of the things I learned the most about was some of what's happening to our county because of the frequency of fires. Basically, about 2/3 of our county is chaparral, and you need fires to burn it and to bring it back beautifully. It's just one that comes back with frequency. If it doesn't have 4 or 5 years to regenerate, basically you almost kind of change the covering, and it becomes more of desert brush and grass, which is more flammable, and that's becoming part of the problem, is that you have a higher flammability with what's coming back. But anyway, it was very interesting. My takeaway actually is that there is a lot of really cool toys and equipment that is used by people in water agencies, and they had them all on display. And so anyway, I would say, Ron, if your public works, water people want to go to that, I can see why they would really enjoy playing and trying out everything from, they had, everything from the trucks and diggers to, including, in fact, they also had what the police, our police have our, what do you call those things that hover and look at things? Yes, those. Anyway, they have them for drones. Thank you for the word. They have them for water as well. So I don't know if we have drones. Are we using to investigate the water? After watching how they use it to look at the system, I thought maybe we need to talk about either you combine with the police or maybe getting your own. It was, very, very cool what they use for it to keep to basically review our water system and look at it. Attended the Teacher of the Month at Township Elementary and gave a lovely award to Angela Maggot, who is a special ed teacher there, who started during COVID, bless her heart, but somehow survived and is doing well. Also, did attend the Simi Valley Citizens Academy. Yes, we had a great presentation about volunteerism by Councilmember Ayala. Also had District Attorney Eric Nazarenko, who came and spoke, and appreciated that he would come to that group. And he mentioned how nice it is just to speak to normal people. And so it was very lovely to get his comments about what they're doing. Friday, April 18th, went to the Reagan, saw the Dead Sea Scrolls. If you haven't seen them yet, I just think it's quite an amazing thing we have in our community and would encourage that. And hopefully it was a beautiful way to celebrate Easter, Passover, And so that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Judge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On Thursday, April 17th, I attended along with City Manager and Deputy City Manager, the Ventura County Tax Foundation State of this County. Basically, it was an overview of the county and its financial woes and going forward, and our population decline wasn't a very rosy picture. So Ventura County is, I think now they said it was the 4th most expensive county in California? Second most expensive county to live in California. So again, was it nationwide?
It was nationwide.
Yeah. We're not growing, we're getting older, and the SOAR was designed to protect, at least that's what they told us when they passed it, was designed to protect agricultural, and now it's hurting agricultural interests because they're no longer allowed to build facilities to process on their own land. It's kind of a weird dynamic there. So there's a lot of things that aren't, not a lot of good news for the county. I wanted to bring the citizens' attention to a couple of things real quick on my calendar. That's about all I have for my calendar. But I want you to watch a couple of bills coming out. And the most important one, in my opinion, is AB 1421, which is a proposed mileage tax on your vehicle. So this is another tax they're going to give you because they can't get enough money on the gas tax anymore, according to the state legislature, because of electric cars. So look it up. Pay attention to what the legislature does, because no man or beast is safe while the legislature is in session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. My report's going to be very, very short. I my mother had open heart surgery last week, so I've spent the majority of my time at Los Robles Hospital, and they are wonderful. They've been great, so I've been spending a lot of time there. But I did get to enjoy on Thursday, April 17th, I went to the Sheriff's State of the Law in Ventura County breakfast in Camarillo. It was very well attended. Our chief was there, as well as Assistant Chief Purcell, and a lot of other law enforcement and community members from throughout the county. The sheriff made a big deal about saying he was fully staffed. So I think hearing our statistics tonight was kind of a little bit difficult to hear compared to what he had going there. But we have a very good relationship with our sheriff's department. They cover our unincorporated areas, so I'm glad that we're all able to do a great job there and work well together. So that was really the only event that I was able to attend. Let's see. So any other questions or concerns before we? Oh, I'm sorry, future agenda items. I put my paperwork away already. Do we have any future agenda items? Okay, seeing none, we will adjourn in memory of Carol Martin. She is the mother of Robert Martin from our senior center, and as well as Pope Francis. So thank you all.